Sophie Cunningham, who is become the summer it girl, the blonde bombshell, the bombastic battler. Yeah, Caitlin Clark's wing woman in the WNBA. She is standing up once again for Caitlin Clark. And this time, it's a little ridiculous that she even has to. I mean, think about this. Caitlin Clark is, of course, the face of the WNBA.
With a single, uncensored takedown, Sophie Cunningham just blew up the WNBA. On the very first episode of her brand new podcast, Caitlin Clark's fiercest defender didn't just support her teammate, she took a flamethrower to the entire debate about who runs the league. The meltdown from critics was immediate and epic, but all the outrage completely misses the point. Her comment was so blunt, so direct, that it exposed a bitter civil war raging behind the scenes, revealing an ugly truth about Caitlin Clark that the league's veterans and their media allies never wanted you to know.
Whine and moan. We can't have a straight white girl. What about all the sisters and the white lesbians that came before the build show of a league? Well, that's why it's a show of a league, because the sisters and the straight white girls and the lesbian white girls that tried to build it before them, guess what? It don't work. Of course, being 2025 means there are some people out there who want to argue.
Cunningham's statement wasn't just an emotional opinion. It was a conclusion backed by an avalanche of cold, hard data. While critics clutched their pearls over her blunt language, they conveniently ignored the facts that make any other argument completely obsolete. Let's look at the Caitlin Clark effect in plain numbers. Before her arrival, a highly rated WNBA game might draw 500,000 viewers. Clark's games now regularly pull in over 2 million viewers, peaking at numbers that rival primetime MLB and NHL broadcasts. These aren't just small increases, this is a seismic shift in viewership. Arenas are another stark indicator. The Indiana Fever, once a team playing in front of sparse crowds, now sells out every single game.
It literally pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. We have a lot of badasses in our league.
Yeah.
Hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league, or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as You're literally dumb as
Visiting teams are moving their home games against the Fever out of their standard 10,000 seat arenas and into massive 20,000 seat NBA stadiums just to accommodate the unprecedented demand. The economic impact is staggering. Her number 22 jersey became the top-selling jersey for any player in any sport across the Fanatics network, just hours after she was drafted, outselling established NFL and NBA superstars. The league was struggling for mainstream relevance for over 25 years. Now it's a fixture on sports talk shows and a major topic of national conversation. It all changed the moment Caitlin Clark was drafted. Cunningham wasn't being disrespectful, she was just reading the scoreboard. And as the debate raged, it became clear this wasn't about numbers, but about a much uglier, more uncomfortable truth.
I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of no, we're gonna prove her, we're gonna show her what the W really is. You know what I mean? And I get it to a certain extent, and every rookie coming into the league, that's how you're gonna treat them. But there's just more for her. So it's her second year. And now being on her team and seeing it, I'm what are people doing? Actually it's just too much. And it's just, I'm over it. And if I'm saying it's too much, then it's probably too much.
No.
The furious backlash against Sophie Cunningham exposed a glaring hypocrisy that has long existed in sports media. For decades, no one has batted an eye when commentators have crowned male athletes as the face of their sport. LeBron James was the face of the NBA, Tom Brady was the face of the NFL, Tiger Woods was the face of golf, and Michael Jordan was a global icon who transcended basketball entirely. These titles were never considered controversial. They were accepted as acknowledgments of a player's transcendent talent and, more importantly, their commercial power to drive ratings, revenue, and relevance for their entire league. Yet, when Sophie Cunningham applies this same basic logic to Caitlin Clark, she's branded as divisive, problematic, and disrespectful to the veterans who came before.
One of the biggest stars the WNBA's ever
Who's that?
had. Her name rhymes with Schmaitlin.
Hurtland?
Yeah. What has that been like, seeing her not only kind of transform a league, but also just be like,
No,
is that fair to say?
not even just the league, but like
The
women's
sport?
basketball as a whole around the
Yeah.
world. No, I think it's awesome. I think it's so funny because she's like 22, 23 years old and the whole world is watching her.
Yeah.
Like it is a cult following. I'm not kidding.
No, it's wild.
Like it is
The airport today,
insane.
it was like 22 everywhere.
Anywhere you go, like it is a home game wherever we play. Like
No
she
way.
security with her 24/7. Like people are outrageous. Like
Wow.
think of the most famous person that you know or have met.
Suddenly, acknowledging a single player's monumental impact is seen as an insult to everyone else. It begs the question, why is it perfectly acceptable to recognize a male superstar's dominance, but taboo when a woman achieves the same status? The answer points to a deep-seated resentment that some people hold toward Clark's sudden and overwhelming rise. It's a resentment born from a mix of jealousy over her success and a resistance to the way she has single-handedly changed the power dynamics of the league. Cunningham didn't create this double standard, she just had the guts to expose it.
She gained, I think, 500,000 followers and such, and your jersey selling out. How cool is that for your?
Yeah, you know, it's cool. It's funny what kind of people are attracted to. You know, I'm just trying to keep the main thing. The main thing is that's basketball, trying to win games, sticking up for my teammates. And that's all part of it. I think all that stuff it's fun and whatnot, but at the end of the day, we need to win some basketball games.
To make her point even sharper and more controversial, Sophie didn't just speak in generalities, she named names. When her co-host suggested another potential candidate for the face of the league, New York Liberty superstar Sabrina Ionesco, Cunningham's response was a quick, definitive, and dismissive no. This wasn't just a stray comment, it was a surgical takedown of one of the league's most established and decorated stars. And while it sounds incredibly harsh on the surface, the reality of the situation fully supports her claim. Sabrina Ionesco is a fantastic player. She's a multiple-time All-Star, a record-breaking three-point shooter who famously competed against Steph Curry, and the leader of a championship-contending team. By any normal metric, she is a superstar. But Caitlin Clark doesn't operate by normal metrics. Has a game featuring Ionesco ever forced a major network to reschedule its primetime programming? Have fans lined up for hours in every city she visits just to get a glimpse of her warming up? Has her presence alone caused ticket prices on the secondary market to spike by over 500%? The answer to all of those questions is a clear no. Clark operates on a completely different stratosphere of fame, media attention, and cultural impact. Cunningham's dismissal of Ionesco wasn't a personal attack on her talent. It was a brutal dose of business reality that many within the WNBA's insulated bubble are simply unwilling to swallow. What this entire firestorm truly reveals is a toxic participation trophy mentality that has festered within the WNBA's culture for years. There's a bizarre unspoken rule among some veteran players and media members that everyone must be celebrated equally, that the team is all that matters, and that individual stardom should be downplayed to protect the feelings of others. The idea of a single, transcendent superstar who overshadows everyone else is treated not as the incredible blessing it is, but as a dangerous threat to the established order. They seem to prefer a league where no one gets too big, even if it means the league itself remains small and financially unstable. Caitlin Clark's arrival shattered that fragile ecosystem. She is, without question, bigger than the league itself, and that fact makes many people deeply uncomfortable. They resent that a 22-year-old rookie has accomplished in a few short months what they couldn't in their entire careers. Sophie Cunningham's crime wasn't that she was wrong, it was that she dared to acknowledge this new hierarchy out loud, breaking the old guard's sacred code of silence. And as if on cue, another drama playing out in Indiana showed just how deep this disconnect truly runs. Just as the debate over Cunningham's comments reached a boiling point, another incident unfolded that served as a perfect, real-world example of the league's internal conflict. DeWanna Bonner, a former player for the Indiana Fever who had a messy exit from the team, made her return to Indianapolis and was met with a thunderous chorus of boos from the packed arena. Instead of recognizing that fans who pay their hard-earned money have every right to voice their displeasure with a player they feel abandoned them, other WNBA players like Kalia Copper took to social media to scold the fans, calling their reaction distasteful and classless. This is the disconnect in a nutshell. You have veteran players who believe fans should just sit down, be quiet, and politely clap for everyone, regardless of the circumstances. Meanwhile, those same fans are shelling out hundreds of dollars for tickets, not to see Dewana Bonner, but to be in the same building as Caitlin Clark. The passion, the sold-out crowd, the booing, the intense atmosphere, it was all a direct result of the Clark effect. Her influence is so powerful that it creates intense drama and record attendance even for a game she wasn't playing in due to injury. It proves that the new WNBA fanbase is here for a star, and they will be passionate, critical, and unapologetic, a reality the old guard just can't seem to accept. While many critics are busy painting Sophie Cunningham as nothing more than a loudmouth teammate getting swept up in the drama, they are missing the brilliant strategy playing out right in front of them. This podcast launch wasn't an accident or a stroke of luck. It was a calculated and perfectly executed media masterstroke. Cunningham didn't launch her show on some obscure independent platform. She strategically signed a deal with The Volume, the media empire founded by Colin Cowherd, a man who has built a 9-figure career on making bold, controversial, and endlessly debatable statements. It's a business model built on creating conversations, and Sophie proved she was a perfect fit. She knew that by coming out of the gate with a fiery, unapologetic defense of Caitlin Clark, she would generate millions of dollars in free press, dominate sports media headlines for a week, and instantly establish herself as a major voice in the WNBA landscape. She is playing the modern media game at an expert level, turning her role as Clark's on-court defender into a powerful and lucrative brand. She's not just a player anymore, she's a savvy media operator who understands that in today's world controversy creates cash, and the people attacking her are unknowingly helping her build an empire. Beneath all the arguments about stats and media savvy, there lies a deeper, more volatile issue that many are afraid to address directly: the elephant in the room. Certain factions of the media and vocal online critics have relentlessly pushed a narrative that Clark's unprecedented popularity isn't just about her talent, but is fueled by her identity as a straight, white superstar in a predominantly Black and LGBTQ+ league. They claim she benefits from a level of privilege and media adoration that other players were never afforded. This narrative seeks to undermine her achievements by suggesting they are unearned. On the other side, her defenders argue this is a lazy and insulting analysis that ignores the true nature of her appeal. They contend that her fame has nothing to do with identity politics and everything to do with her revolutionary style of play. Her logo-distance three-pointers and flashy passes are thrilling in a way that transcends demographics, appealing to casual sports fans who simply want to be entertained. Sophie Cunningham's fierce defense can be seen as a direct counterattack against this narrative, an attempt to reclaim the story and insist that Clark's status is based purely on merit and her unique, game-changing ability. It's a battle not just for public opinion, but for the very soul of why Caitlin Clark became a phenomenon in the first place. Lost in the crossfire of this league-wide war is the person at the very center of it, Caitlin Clark herself. Imagine being 22 years old and carrying the weight of an entire professional sports league on your shoulders. Every dribble she takes, every shot she misses, and every word she says is magnified, analyzed, and scrutinized by millions. On the court, she's a marked woman, facing a level of physical aggression that has shocked longtime basketball observers. Opponents don't just want to beat her, they want to send a message to physically intimidate the player who has stolen all the spotlight. Yet through it all, Clark has remained remarkably composed, rarely showing frustration and consistently deflecting praise to her teammates. This is where Sophie Cunningham's role becomes even more crucial. Her fiery verbal defense on a podcast is merely an extension of the physical protection she and other teammates try to provide on the court. They see the daily pressure, the cheap shots, and the psychological toll it takes. Her blunt, unfiltered comment, while shocking to outsiders, can be understood as the raw, unfiltered frustration of a protector seeing her leader relentlessly targeted from all sides, by opponents, by the media, and even by jealous peers. She's not just defending a teammate, she's defending a young woman weathering a storm that few could ever comprehend. Sophie Cunningham's passionate defense of Caitlin Clark isn't just about loyalty, it's about protecting the most valuable and fragile asset the WNBA has ever had. The league's sudden explosion in popularity is a billion-dollar empire built almost entirely on the shoulders of one person. This creates a terrifyingly high-stakes gamble. What happens if Clark suffers a serious injury? What happens when the novelty wears off for the millions of new fans she brought in? Is the WNBA prepared for a future where its entire financial model is dependent on the health and performance of a single player? The old guard players who resent her fame are failing to see the bigger picture. Without her, the chartered flights they now enjoy could disappear. The record-breaking media deals might evaporate. The sold-out arenas could return to being half-empty. This is the precarious reality that makes Cunningham's comments so vital. She understands that any attempt to diminish Clark's status as the face of the league is a direct threat to the prosperity of every single player, including those who criticize her. Her defense isn't just about settling a debate, it's about safeguarding a fragile revolution that could crumble if its leader is torn down. In the end, the furious, hysterical reaction to Sophie Cunningham's comments says far more about her critics than it does about her. This fight was never really about whether one player can be called the face of the league. It's about a sports league that is profoundly struggling to accept its own incredible, long-awaited success because it arrived in a package it didn't expect and can't control. For over 2 decades, the WNBA desperately wanted a savior, a transcendent player who could lift the sport into the mainstream. Now that they finally have one in Caitlin Clark, some of the very people who should be celebrating are instead consumed by resentment and jealousy. Sophie Cunningham simply had the courage to say the quiet part out loud. The question is no longer whether Caitlin Clark is the face of the WNBA. The real question is, will the league finally embrace the star-driven reality that is lifting it to unprecedented heights, or will the internal bitterness and the fragile egos of the old guard threaten to tear it all down from the inside? The future of the entire sport may very well depend on the answer.